written.
Yeah, but that's better. Nothing.
All right.
Site plan, two of those public safety public.
Are we ready to go, everybody? Just a reminder to grab your mics. All right, I'm going to call our Tuesday, October 4th Common Council meeting to order. Megan, will you take the roll, please?
Davis?
Here.
Lampy?
Here.
Ritten?
Here.
Bart?
Here.
Lick?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Schmid?
Here.
Wetzel?
Here.
Romline?
Here.
Very good. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right. The first item on our agenda is the minutes of the council meeting from September 20th. Does anyone have any comments or questions on those minutes? All right. Our next item is comments and suggestions from citizens present. I do want to just mention before we open this up, we do have 3 public hearings. So if you're here to speak on any of the public hearings, we have 4 public hearings. So if you're here to speak on any of the public hearings, hold tight. We'll call those in just a moment. But if anyone else would like to comment, they can come to the microphone by Alderperson Davis. And I don't see anyone online. Do you have anybody there? Are they all public hearings?
Public hearing.
Okay. All right, let's start our public hearings then. The first public hearing pertains to 2002 Airport Road. The applicant is Jacob Rosbeck, and the property owner Thomas Funk are proposing to rezone the western portion of 2002 Airport Road from multi-zoning district to general business district. This is to develop the western portion of 2002 Airport Road into a personal storage land use facility. A personal storage facility land use. I'll open that public hearing. If anyone would like to comment, you can come to the microphone by Alderperson Davis, and please just state your name and address. All right. I will close that public hearing. That's probably the easiest meeting you guys have ever been to. And this will go back to the Plan Commission next week. Jacob, next Monday? Okay. All right. Our next then is 820 East Main Street. This is a public hearing for applicant Eric Grunwald and property owners Jason Martinko and Sunisa Melton. They are requesting a planned unit development, general development plan for a vehicle repair and maintenance use on premise. I will open that public hearing. If anyone would like to comment, you can again come to the microphone by Alderperson Davis. Please just state your name and address.
Jackie Leffler. My address is 109 North 9th Street. I live across the street from the building. He's been doing amazing. He's painted it. He's caught everything up, sealed it, put a light outside that we've been asking for years. I would not be opposed to it being a full body shop again. When it was a body shop before, the noise wasn't out of control. There was no vandalism. There was no... So I would not be opposed to being next to it, and it would be great for the community around us, so we'd have something more than Zweig's Grill. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
My name is Chet Sopransky. What he's done with the building so far is amazing. He's painted it, he's redone the driveway. It looks amazing to what it used to be before. He's done work on my car before at his other place that he had, and he'd be a great asset to the downtown area. And as far as noise and anything, he's not a noisy mechanic. He doesn't have craziness going around, people racing around or anything like that. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else that would like to comment?
I'm Kyle Schaefer, live at 911 Sand Street. Eric's been a good friend for a long time, and he's a great mechanic. I think we could use some more mechanics, spread out some more work, and he's a quality mechanic too, so we definitely need more of those. His shop is always clean, it's always tidy. I think he'd be a good benefit to Main Street.
Great, thank you. Anyone else that'd like to comment on this one? All right, we'll close that public hearing, and those comments also will go back to Plan Commission for next Monday. Let's go to our next then. This is a public hearing to amend Chapter 550 of the zoning code through the removal and addition of language to Section 550-56C, accessory land use, detached residential garage, carport, utility shed, or play structure or lawn ornament, to remove the requirement of a conditional use permit for such structures exceeding 1,000 square feet or for having greater than 2 accessory structures. These accessory structures would still have to comply with the maximum accessory building coverage of that zoning district. I'm going to call that public hearing to order. Would anyone like to comment? Oh, Mr. Moss.
Private citizen Jacob Moss, 416 North Washington Street. This ordinance would, again, go to 10% of the property. The vast majority of the coverages for residential properties are 10%. In the end, we would prefer people store their stuff interior versus exterior. So I know there are properties that are 40,000 square feet, which would then give you a 4,000 foot or 4,000 square foot possibility of a garage, which may exceed a traditional residential principal structure, but the reality is we have a lot of storage issues here in the city. This would address that. Under Wisconsin Act 2017-67, we have really limited ability to deny a conditional use permit when it comes to the Plan Commission, and because of that, we've been pretty much granting them as they come to us. So really, we've created a $500 fee for something that we're going to approve anyway. So this would then eliminate that barrier, allow interior storage of stuff, which would reduce our code enforcement, needs in the city for exterior storage. So that is why this is coming forward.
Anyone else that wants to comment on this one? I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to audible. Stephen's not here, so I can. Today's Jacob's last day. And we are sad that Jacob is leaving the city, but wish him, nothing but the best. Jacob has been super impactful to our zoning code and really to the planned growth of the city. And there's always, I told him about 800 times, there's always a place for Jacob here. So we hope Menominee Falls is terrible and he comes back. So you guys, can we give Jacob an impromptu round? He's one of the good ones. All right, enough of Jacob. He's leaving us anyway. Let's go to our next. This is a public hearing to amend Chapter 550 of the zoning code through the addition of language to Section 550-131.1, 131.1A, Pren 8. This is about electronic message center setbacks to allow the establishment of electronic message centers within 75 feet of a residential setback if it is replacing a compliant backlit or internally illuminated sign. The new electronic message center cannot be greater than 110% of the square footage of the original backlit or internally illuminated sign. That's a mouthful. I'm going to open that public hearing. Would anyone like to comment on that? Oh, Mr. Jacob, we already gave you the farewell.
I know.
Don't come back for more. I was just kidding. Please
Giving
explain.
the impetus to this. The city of Watertown has a lot of backlit or internally illuminated signs, especially within institutional type of land occupation or land uses. Some of them being a lot of the churches in this community have backlit signs. There's a trend towards electronic message centers. This just gives them the allowance to, and a lot of the institutional land uses are near residential properties. This just allows them to convert those signs into electronic message centers, which allows them to convey. Again, electronic message centers cannot change their message. They're not supposed to change their messages more than once every 60 seconds. And then again, they're supposed to have a sensor to make sure they don't exceed the ambient light of the that evening or during that nighttime period. So this is why we're moving this forward.
Thank you. And if you would just state your name and address, please.
Larry Gaugert, 1201 Richards Avenue here in Watertown. I'm here tonight to voice my support for the proposed ordinance put forth by the Planning Commission regarding the outdoor electronic signage here in the city. I'm a member at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, located at 1611 East Main Street here in Watertown. And passage of this ordinance, we strongly feel, will have a direct positive impact on our efforts to update our street sign located at the church entrance and maximize the benefit of the information area already on the current sign. Each council member should have received a packet of information from me explaining and showing the project and what we are trying to accomplish. Up to this point, I have not received any questions from any council members, and I'm hopeful that the information provided answered any questions you might have had. If not, I'd be happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time. I feel it's important to note that the Planning Commission supports this ordinance proposal unanimously, and they also feel the passage of this will clarify and hopefully alleviate possible similar issues in the future. With that in mind, I ask the council to support passage of this proposal and sincerely appreciate your time as well as the efforts of the mayor, the city zoning administrator, and the Planning Commission to help us accomplish our goals by putting forth this ordinance proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to comment on this one? All right, we'll close that public hearing, and those comments will go back to the Plan Commission next week. All right, let's move on then from public hearings to reports. You all have the Public Safety and Welfare Committee of September 7th, Site Plan from September 12th, Plan Commission from September 12th, and Site Plan from September 26th. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Oh, excuse me, and Public Works from September 27th. Any comments or questions on those? All right, very good. Let's go to communications and recommendations. The first is the Town Square update. I actually remembered to do it this week. Anyone have any questions on the Town Square? All right. Then let's go to our next item, which is the 2022 WEDC Watertown Downtown Parking Study. This study is in your packets for your review. We did review it at the Finance Committee level, and I do believe the Public Works Director provided a nice summary memo to provide some insight. If you do have questions on that, I'm going to direct you to Jane Ellen Holloway, but we wanted to make sure that you all had the results of that downtown parking study. And then last is just for awareness that we have Fire Prevention Week coming up and Light the Night for 2022. Those are both proclamations that we've issued, and I would just encourage you to watch out for those. Next, let's go to new business, and for your consideration is the appointment of the election inspectors and special voting deputies. I would look for a motion on that one.
So moved.
Motion by Romline. Second by Mr. Licht. Any discussion? Is voice fine? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, very good. Our next item then is a discussion on invocation. So this item was placed on the agenda at the request of Alderperson Smith. So I will just open it up for discussion.
Well, this would not require any kind of a change to what is currently part of our city code and what has been previously discussed on numerous occasions in the past. There was a regular invocation which was part of our pre-council meeting for the period leading up to the COVID because it went to a virtual type of meeting for a period of time, and where even now there's an element of that. The invocation was something that was not something that was continued. I believe that we're at the point now where there would be no legitimate reason not to have an invocation. During periods of past discussion, we covered the reason why it was to the city's interest to invite members of the clergy to come in and to invoke God's blessing upon our time. Every one of us needs wisdom and there is no wisdom that is going to compete with the wisdom that we can receive from the Lord. But more than passing and enacting good legislation, an invocation helps to draw our attention to the importance of civility and the respect for other people's points of view. And I think it draws our attention in a direction that can only be helpful. And obviously, there are going to be periods of time when we have very complex and sometimes controversial issues. So the element of wisdom and the element of mutual respect, I think, will serve our city very well. And what I'm interested in doing is trying to encourage our council to get back to that which is historically a part of our deliberative process, part of our pre-council focus, and do it in a way that will provide us the many benefits that God's favor can provide. So obviously what would be necessary is to seek to gain as much participation by the clergy, who traditionally have been very willing to come in and to provide an invocation, and do that on a regular basis as soon as we can get that implemented.
Mr. Lampe.
I carry a bit of an opposite view, I think, in terms of bringing the invocation back. To me, and I think a lot of other people in the community, your faith is something that is, deeply personal. Something that I want to be very careful, especially since we just got done implementing a 3-minute limitation on general members of the public to be able to come speak to us, that we would basically place at our council meeting a dedicated time for an outside party to address this. So should we move forward with it, I'd of course be in favor of basically making sure we have a 3-minute limit on the invocation as well. But I'm also concerned about perceptions about being unfair in terms of a rotation of clergy. I think that since we would be under there would be no way that we would restrict this or try to restrict this to Christian pastors or groups only, that we may be opening ourselves to some interesting guest speakers and invocations. We may have, the Church of Satan stop by. We may have, the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I don't know that we want to necessarily step into that realm where it looks like the city council is perhaps endorsing some of the views that are stepping to the microphone.
Anyone else want to comment on this one?
I'd only say that the city code clearly specifies that the invocation is something that is being provided and reflects the view of the person providing that invocation. And it clearly precludes any kind of an interpretation that suggests that the person providing the prayer or the invocation is speaking in any kind of an official capacity, nor is what they said endorsed by the council. It is simply for the benefit of the council as we seek to provide good leadership in our community.
Mr. Schmidt, did you have something?
It's more of, because I've been approached by this by a couple different individuals from the community about wanting it reinstated, because they thought it was just gone for COVID and we just forgot to add it too. I can sense your concerns a little bit, Alderman Lampe, though those are fringe cases, and I'm familiar with both of those organizations and beliefs because of my other job in uniform. I have to be aware of those situations. Those are fringe elements and fringe elements categories. I'm not concerned about that in Watertown, and if it's a recognized religious leader, it's going to be an organization or physical structure in town tied to that individual. In regards to favoritism, as long as we're not having the same person every single council meeting, I don't think we're going to have an issue with that because we meet twice a month on average, 12 months a year, that's 24. As long as the same person's not doing it, 12 months, every time, we shouldn't have an issue because there's more than enough rotation in town that everyone can do it twice a year and still be plenty of rotation for that. So I don't see why we don't just put it back in place.
Anyone else want to comment on this one?
I'd like to speak in
Mr.
favor.
Romline, come on
I'd
now.
like to-
Use your microphone.
I'd like to
You
speak
guys,
in
Board of
favor
Review, I had to tell him, I think, like 85 times.
There's a sign right here that says.
Do you?
To the mic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, I'd like to speak in favor of it.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment on this one? Yes, Ms. Davis.
For clarity, it's 114-7, letter E, Rule 5. So it is already one of the rules for Common Council Rule of Procedures written into the ordinance.
Yeah.
I'll just echo Alder Schmidt's comments too. I'm not concerned with fringe elements coming to speak their mind. I was here before COVID. I enjoyed the invocation. I do kind of miss it. I think it'd be great to have it return.
Anyone else on this one?
I'd be in favor of it as well.
I'm not allowed to debate as the chair. I can only relay facts. So I want to relay one fact. It sounds like the majority would like for it to appear back on the agenda, so we'll make that adjustment to the agenda. And I need you to give us a little bit of time because it is a process of soliciting these folks and getting them scheduled and signed up. So give us a little bit of time on that. And should we receive a request, to Mr. Lampe's point, of anyone who is not of a traditionally represented faith in this community, their request will have to be honored to appear. I have another comment, but it's not a fact, it's a feeling. So I'll keep that one to myself to not relinquish the chair. There's not really any point. It seems like the majority is in favor of it returning. Anyone else on this one? All right, let's move on then to accounts payable.
Madam Mayor, I move we pay all accounts payable.
All right, motion by Romline, second by Mr. Schmid. Any discussion on the accounts? Megan?
Romline,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Lampy,
Aye.
Britton,
Abstain.
Bartz,
Aye.
Lick,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Schmid,
Aye.
Wetzel.
Aye.
Motion passed 8-0.
All right. Next is miscellaneous business. You have the payroll summary from August 24th to September 6th, and then the credit card purchases over $10,000. Does anyone have comments or questions on those? All right, let's go to ordinances. The first is ordinance 22-68. This is an ordinance to amend section 500-9A, parking prohibited in specified places. This pertains to Dayton Street from Clement Street to West Main Street. This is here from Alderperson Smith and Public Safety on the second reading.
I would move for the adoption of proposed ordinance 22-68 on its second reading.
Motion by Smith. Second by Schmid. Discussion on this one? Megan?
Smith,
Aye.
Schmid,
Aye.
Wetzel,
Aye.
Romline,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Lampy,
Aye.
Britton,
Aye.
Bartz,
Aye.
Lick.
Aye.
Motion passed 9-0.
Okay. Next is ordinance 22-69. This is an ordinance to repeal a portion of section 500-8, heavy traffic routes from South Water Street to West Main Street to West Milwaukee Street. Again, from Mr. Smith in Public Safety and Welfare on the second reading.
I would move for the adoption of proposed ordinance 22-69 on its second reading.
Motion by Smith.
Second.
Second by Schmid. Discussion on this one? It's not as easy as it looks, you guys. Megan?
Smith,
Aye.
Schmid,
Aye.
Wetzel,
Aye.
Romline,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Lampy,
Aye.
Britton,
Aye.
Bartz,
Aye.
Lick.
Aye.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, let's go to resolutions. The first is Exhibit 9428. This is a resolution to approve the budget amendment to cover SEH Telecom review fees of $10,000 for the TDS fiber project. This is here from me and the Finance Committee.
Madam Mayor, I move for 9428.
Motion by Romline,
Second.
second by Mr. Licht. Discussion on this one? All right, Megan.
Romline,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Lampe.
Aye.
Britton.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Lick.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Schmid.
Aye.
Wetzel.
Aye.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you. Next is Exhibit 9429. This is a resolution to authorize a joint powers agreement for the County 911 emergency system with Dodge County. This is here from me.
Oh, that-
Motion by Romline,
Second.
second by Mr. Bartz. Questions on this one? You will read,
An annual thing.
every year, you'll see one more for Jefferson County at some point. Yep. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, let's go to our last one. This is Exhibit 9430, a resolution to award the HVAC service and support to Johnson Controls for $48,550. This is here from Alderman Wetzel and Public Works.
I'll move for 9430.
Motion by Mr. Wetzel, second by Mr. Bartz. Discussion on this one? Megan?
Wetzel.
Aye.
Romline.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Lampe.
Aye.
Britton.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Lick.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Schmid.
Aye.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you. Next is comments and suggestions from citizens present. If anyone would like to comment, they can come to the microphone. All right, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Schmid,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Davis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good evening.